The Jeep Wrangler is a very capable off-road vehicle, but let's be honest, we all know that the engineers designed this to sell to a mass market, so it's got to have nice on-road manners too. But one issue that off-roaders have been finding is that if you have a manual transmission, it can pop out of gear, especially first gear on the trail, leaving you at neutral at the worst time in the world. So we're going to fix that by swapping out the stock shifter for a unit from B&M, which is going to give us great on-road manners, but also has a shorter throw and detents at each stop, so we know it'll never pop out of gear on us. Let's get started. Now there's a lot of benefits that go with a shifter like this. Besides its robust construction, you can see that the case is cut from CNC aluminum and the internals are all chromoly steel. It shortens the shifter throws by about 35%, and there's a detent that locks this shifter into each gear so it won't pop out on you in the trail. Now while we're at it, we're also going to install this shifter handle, which is also from B&M. Now technically it's not necessary. The shifter unit allows you to use the stock handle, and this is sold separately, but the shifter handle allows some additional adjustability to make sure that it always falls under hand in the Jeep. And look at it, it's just so cool. Why wouldn't you go ahead and install it too? So the first step is to pull the knobs off of both the shifter and the differential selector. Now you've probably noticed this is not a stock shifter knob. The original one broke on me, and so I just replaced this one with an aftermarket one. But the differential selector is still stock, and it comes off the same way as the shifter knob would. So I'll show you how to do that, and you'll know how to do both on your Jeep. By the way, this is first gear. Look how sloppy it is. Neutral, first. We got to tighten that up. So the first step is to get the knobs off. For the stock Jeep knobs, use a plastic pry tool preferably, or a screwdriver to drop the lower collar and then pull the knob up and off. They are usually stuck on there pretty good though. Twisting will help, but be prepared to have to put some real muscle into it. Honestly, the knob on the transfer case selector was a royal pain, but this knob is aftermarket. It's just held on with a set screw, so it's a piece of cake. Next thing to do is we will raise the park brake as high as we can get it, and then pull up on the console right at the cup holder and get it to pop loose. There we go. Get these tabs out. Have mercy, let go. There, finally. Now I can clean all this trash out and we'll get started. Underneath the console is the inner shifter boot. Remove the threaded on piece of pressed metal and then carefully pop it loose from the side tabs, ow, and pull it back to release. The shifter handle itself is held in place with a single bolt. Of course, even with this bolt out, it was practically impossible to get the stick off. I didn't show it, but B&M recommends clamping a pair of vice grips onto the handle and then hitting that with a hammer until the whole shift stick pops loose. And here's what it should look like. So we've got about everything exposed up top. The next step is to remove the foam surround away from the shifter, and to do that we've got to turn our attention underneath the Jeep. So the idea here is that we need to drop the transmission a little bit to get that foam isolator out of the way. But to do that, I already had to pull the skid plate, and next up on my to-do list is the fuel tank. Now, the way I understand it, on older models, this doesn't actually connect, but here we've got the fuel tank connecting to the cross member, so it has to come out of the way first. We've got 2 bolts in front, 2 bolts in the rear, and 4 bolts along each side. So I'm going to remove 6 bolts all along the side and the front, put a jack here, and just loosen the bolts in the back so I can lower the fuel tank down, just kind of hinge it down a little bit, and then that'll give me room so I can drop the cross member. Let's get busy. Once the fuel tank, or really the fuel tank support plate, is lowered out of the way, the transmission cross member just comes loose with 2 bolts on each side. It only needs to come down about 3 inches so that you can get the foam insulator out. To remove the insulator, start underneath the Jeep and use your fingers to push the donut in and up through the hole in the transmission tunnel. Once you get it started, you can come up top and finish gently pulling it out from the driver's seat. Then you can remove the 4 bolts holding the stock shifter in place and pull the shifter. All right, so here we have the shifter and our rubber donut. Now, Jeep actually calls this a foam isolator. Its job is to keep sound and vibration out of the driver's compartment. And I had heard you had to be really careful when taking this out. And I guess after about 8 or 9 years of use, it has broken down a little bit. And I did manage to tear it getting it out. So when you try it, be really careful. Probably could have glued this back together, but instead I just went to my local dealership and picked up a new one. It was 25 bucks. I don't know if it's gonna be worth it or not, but I just wanted to do it all with new stuff. So there's that. Here is the stock shifter. And as you can see, it's actually pretty easy to shift. There's not a whole lot of resistance to it. You cannot do that with the B&M shifter. That's not a bad thing. That means it's going to stay in position where it needs to go. So now we are finally ready to start putting things together for a change. As you can see, the billet aluminum housing for the B&M shifter is larger than the original unit. So we're going to need to do a little trimming to our rubber donut to get it to fit. But first of all, notice that the breather here is on this side and here for the B&M shifter. So we want to make sure that we orient the donut the correct way so it goes breather, breather. And then we'll just set this aside. Set this on here and center it up. Kind of drops right in the hole. And then we'll just trace around it to mark our sides. Now that leaves us our pattern that we need to cut out to make it fit. Now actually notice that this pattern is a little bit larger than we need. We've got about a 1/4 inch of lip right here. So we're going to cut about a 1/4 inch on the inside. Right about there. And we should have a perfect fit. Previously, B&M recommended a thin layer of RTV silicone to seal between the transmission housing and the new shifter. But now they're including a nice flexible gasket. I tried placing it on the housing first, but it never wanted to stay put, and I didn't want to use gasket cinch. But then I realized that the new B&M shifter housing has 2 locator dowel pins that the holes in the gasket fit tightly around. So I stuck it to the underside of the shifter along with a couple of bolts and then dropped the entire assembly in place. That bolted up nice and easy, but before I go any farther, I do want to test and make sure everything's working as proper. So here's the old shifter handle. First gear, second, third. Looks good. Now I'll put the donut back in, raise the transmission up, and finish putting everything together. I forgot to mention that in addition to minimizing road noise and vibration, it's also used to keep water out of the driver's compartment if you're off-roading through creeks or in deep mud. You don't need to go underneath the Jeep for the reinstall, just slowly and carefully work it into position. I did notice that the new isolator is much tougher than the original I ripped when I pulled it out of the Jeep, so maybe the foam does break down a little over time. With that out of the way, we can raise the transmission back up and bolt up the cross member, fuel tank, and skid plate. Things are moving along pretty quick now and we're just about done. Normally you can put the stock shifter back on, it bolts right back up with the B&M shifter. but we decided to go with their sport shifter. It also bolts up, let's see, like this right here. Set it in place. And it's got a little extra adjustability. It locks in with these set screws, but also there's a set screw here where you can rotate the handle to get it exactly where you need it. So just drop it back onto the shifter, use the original bolt, and bolt it right in. Next, the inner shifter boot clips back in place, and it's time to reinstall the center console. And the cherry on top is our new B&M shifter knob. We'll just spin it in place, lock it down, and we will be ready for a test drive. Get on there. There we go. Spin the B&M logo till it's squared up, and then there is a lock nut underneath that you can reach with a 9/16 wrench. Get it in there and lock it on so it won't spin on you, and we're all set. Good and firm. I'm liking that already. Last thing to do, take it for a test drive. The new shifter definitely takes a little bit of getting used to. Each gear snaps into place with a really firm feel. Also, check out how short the throws are now. Here's the original stock setup where the shifter throws like an old pickup truck. And now here's the new setup. This is going to be a lot of fun as soon as I can get back out on the trails. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.